Everyone, welcome to Business Spotlight here on CTV. I'm your host, Christian Gibbons, and welcome back to our new season of the program. We have a very special guest with us today. Jeff Erickson from Farm Bureau Insurance is joining us live from West Branch, Michigan at his home office there. And Jeff, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity and look forward to chatting with you today.
Jeff, so why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself and about what you guys do in your office.
So I have been an agent with Farm Bureau Insurance since 2021. I came on in January of that year. I worked for a year with a gentleman who owned the office at the time. And then I took over the office on my own in January of 2022. So basically, we are a family agency. And I think that's one of the biggest things. It's the Erickson family agency. My wife, as I mentioned earlier, does work for us here. She does some marketing and that type of thing for us, meets with clients. And then my son as well, he is currently doing an internship. My daughter, who is now married and is a speech language pathologist, she had worked for me previously while she was going through college and that type of thing. So truly a family-owned business, family-run business with a lot of family ties. The people that are here that work for us, they're family too, and their families, and all of us are extremely close here at the agency. And we hope that we bring that family feel to all of our clients as well. We're very much want to bring in people that are looking for a true advisor of insurance and financial services. And those are really the people that we hope to serve and become their one person for not only just your basic, home and auto insurance, but all of their insurance and financial needs.
So you talk a lot about family, and I know that family is a big part of what you guys do there. So when it comes to our residents and their families, planning for the future is very important, especially now that our residents have taken the step to move into a senior living facility. Can you talk about what kind of insurance should somebody of the age that would live here at the village need or should look at as they move forward in their life?
Absolutely. So, a lot of people don't think about this when they move into something facility like you have there. It's almost like their thought process is, well, everything would be covered. What people don't realize is personal property is not covered, for example. So, while you own the area that they're living in and you are in control of those things, whether it be, the couch, the bed, the stuff that's provided to them, their personal effects are not covered. So if you had a situation where there was a theft, or you had a fire, or you had a flood, or you had something that caused a loss, that is not covered by your insurance. So while you may cover the walls and the floors and the ceiling, anything that they bring with them is not covered under a policy. So what we do in that situation, much like a condominium association or an apartment that you would live in, it's the exact same concept, is we would take a look at insuring your property so that if there was a loss, you'd have coverage for that property. In addition to that, there's a tremendous amount of liability. So liability, personal liability, again, is not covered. So for instance, if I'm in a situation where I have an apartment, let's say, and I know you have some apartments. So if it's an apartment type thing, if somebody slips and falls outside of that apartment or steps inside of the apartment and there's slush on the floor, let's say, and they slip and fall, you could be liable for what goes on in and around your facility for not taking care of it or not, being cognizant of what is going on there. So there's a certain amount of liability that is placed upon that as well. I I oftentimes use the example of, let's say that there was an unfortunate situation where maybe there was a fire or there was something that was, unfortunately created by one of the residents. That could be a liability situation that those people could put themselves into. So that would be the second piece of that we would look at, would be the liability. And as I understand it, Christian, you also have some of your individuals there are still driving vehicles. Is that correct? They're
That is correct.
fully.
Yeah. Yep.
Absolutely. So, as an example of that, we can incorporate all of these things we're talking about: the personal property, their liability, the auto insurance, all of those things into a package, into a bundle, if you would, that would take care of all of that kind of in one policy. And we look to do that. I would say probably 85 to 90% or more of our clients have everything with us. And it's kind of what I had talked about before, about really wanting to be not an insurance agent, but a trusted advisor. And that's the model that we use here at our office.
And you talk about uh, the advisory role that you try to play in people's lives. And that leads me to the next step in this journey is planning for the future when unfortunately you're no longer here and your family has to deal with your assets and your belongings. So can you talk a little bit about some of the services you provide as it pertains to that?
Absolutely, Christian, and thank you for bringing that up, because that's something that really needs to be planned for early. And that's the one thing that I find is, I meet with a lot of families, and those families are just devastated. They're devastated by the loss of a loved one, and on top of that is all of the confusion that surrounds that. When you talk about property, you talk about not only physical property but assets as well, those types of things. And there's a lot of misunderstanding about things like, well, it's in a trust, so everything's taken care of, or we had a will, and all of those things are 100%. You absolutely need to be doing those. But how often are they being updated? Who are you meeting with? Who knows where your financial statements are? Who knows where your information is? Because the majority of people, and again, it's why we try to be a kind of a one-stop shop, if you would. A lot of people out there have things scattered all over, retirements from years and years ago that are in one place, and investments with another place, and insurance with another place, and all of that. We really try to work with the clients and their families, most importantly, to make sure that they know where these assets are, make sure that they know that there's an advisor that they can go to, somebody that can, help them through this process when their worst days are being realized.
So before we go, I just want to give you one more opportunity to talk about any other services that you think would be relevant to our residents here at Alegria Village.
But really, just in that advisory role that we're able to provide to people, really not only the liability that we talked about, the protection of the property, but just being a resource and truly a person who can help that family after they have that passing, and they're in a situation where there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of things that are going on, a lot of thoughts, a lot of different people sometimes coming together, family members. You hear horror stories about people that unfortunately thought they had everything in place and were good to go, and then find out after the fact that they didn't have things in order the way that they thought that they did. And so I try to provide that service to people, again, whether it be, giving them information on an elder law attorney, whether it be talking about and giving them information on things like wills and trusts, tax implications. Again, I said this kind of in the forefront. I'm not a tax advisor. I'm not a elder law attorney, but I work with all of those people, and together we can work out a plan for the individuals that will work for everybody while they're here, as well as once they pass.
So that's all really great information. And why don't you just give us the rundown on how we can get in contact with you if we have any questions or concerns?
Absolutely. So call our office anytime. The phone number is 989-345-0230. And again, my name's Jeff Erickson, and you can contact us there. My email is my first initial J and then Erickson, Erickson, J Erickson at FB for Farm Bureau, INS for insurance, MI for Michigan.com. And feel free to follow us on Facebook as well, on all the social media platforms. We do have a website as well. So we would love the opportunity to be able to speak more with you and your family and see if there's anything out there that we could help you with in terms of, all of those things that we discussed today.
For Business Spotlight, I'm Christian Gibbons. Have a great day, Allegra.